Hey everyone, good morning. Happy Monday. James Azar here with CyberHub Engage. I hope you enjoyed your weekend because the Niners are heading to the Super Bowl. And for those who missed our Friday wrap up, did not see me wearing my Jimmy G jersey, cheering on my Niners yesterday as they beat the Packers. If you're a Packers fan, I'm sorry. Still love you. But we're heading to the Super Bowl 2 weeks from now, playing the Kansas City Chiefs in what's going to be a great, great game. And now we'll go back to cybersecurity because that's why you're all here. So let's talk about what headlines we've got coming on. Today is Monday, January 20th, and here are some of the headlines. Citrix Patches CVE-2019-19781 Flaw in the Citrix ADC 11.1 and 12.0. The FBI reports nation-state actors have breached 2 U.S. municipalities. A free ransomware decryption tool just got a handy update. And ADP users hit with a phishing scam ahead of tax season. And now for your daily cyber briefing brought to you by our friends at CyberHub USA. Go check them out, cyberhubusa.co, for all their services, including their virtual CISO, auditing, cyber program development, cyber awareness training, and so much more. Go to cyberhubusa.co for more. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day here in the U.S., and we are from Atlanta, which is a storied place from which the civil rights movements got started. And later on today's episode, I'll talk a little bit more about what that means for us here at CyberHub Engage and what Martin Luther King Jr. means to us in cybersecurity. And so stay tuned until the very end. You won't want to miss that. So Citrix released a permanent fix for the actively exploited CVE-2019-19781 vulnerability impacting Citrix Application Delivery Controller, Citrix Gateway, and Citrix SD-WAN WAN-up appliances, and allowing unauthenticated attackers to perform arbitrary code execution. Permanent fixes for ADC versions 11.1 and 12.0 are available for downloads. And the Citrix CISO Furman J. Cerna said in an update published yesterday, these fixes also apply to Citrix ADC and Citrix Gateway virtual appliances hosted on any of the ESX, Hyper-V, KVM, Zen Server, Azure, AWS, GCP, or on a Citrix ADC service delivery appliance. SVM on SDX does not need to be updated. It is necessary to upgrade all Citrix ADC and Citrix Gateway 11.1 instances, MPX or VPX, to build 11.1.63.15 to install the security vulnerability fixes. It is necessary to upgrade all Citrix ADC and Citrix Gateway 12.0 instances, also MPX or VPX, to build 12.0.63.13 to install the security vulnerability fixes. Besides releasing these permanent fixes for the CVE 2019-19781 Flaw, Citrix also says that it has fast-forwarded the availability of permanent fixes for other ADC versions and for SD-WAN WAN-up, with the new dates being moved to ADC version 12.1 just later this week on the 24th. ADC version 13 and ADC version 10.5 are now also available on the 24th, and the SD-WAN WAN-up fixes will also be available on the same day, that's January 24th. Citrix advises all customers to apply mitigation measures to ADC versions 12.1, 13, 10.5, and SD-WAN WAN-up versions 10.2.6 and 11.0.3 appliances until a permanent fix will be available. Once complete, you can use the tool we have previously provided to ensure the mitigation have been applied successfully, Cerna said. While the mitigations associated with CVE 2019-19781 are effective across all known scenarios, we strongly encourage customers to apply the permanent fixes as soon as possible. An unknown threat actor is scanning for and securing Citrix ADC servers against the exploitation attempts. At the same time, they are deploying a backdoor to maintain future access, as FireEye researchers have discovered. CISA released its own public domain tool designed to enable security staff to test if their organizations are vulnerable. That was released last week on January 13th. And the Dutch National Cybersecurity Center advised companies 4 days ago to shut down vulnerable Citrix appliances until a reliable fix is available. So make sure you're patching your Citrix. We all know that patching is the basics. It's something that's also extremely difficult and underrated by many, but let's just get to it if we can. Nation-state hackers breached the networks of 2 U.S. municipalities last year, this according to an FBI alert sent to private industry partners last week. The hacks took place after attackers used the CVE 2019-0604 vulnerability in Microsoft SharePoint servers to breach the 2 municipalities' networks. The FBI says that once attackers got a foothold on these networks, malicious activities included exfil of user information, escalation of administrative privileges, and dropping of web shells for remote backdoor persistent access. The agency said in its security alert due to the sophistication of the compromise and tactics, techniques, and procedures utilized, the FBI believes unidentified nation-state actors are involved in the compromise. The FBI could not say if both intrusions were carried out by the same group. The agency also did not name the 2 hacked municipalities. However, it reported the 2 breaches in greater detail, listing the attacker's steps in each incident. In the first incident, an unpatched SharePoint server was utilized to gain access to a U.S. municipality network, steal Active Directory database, compromise administrative credentials, and drop web shells for remote backdoor access to the compromised servers. 4 ASPX web shells, all of which appeared to be variant of commonly available or open source web shells, were uploaded to the compromised SharePoint server and used to facilitate additional access. The cyber actors uploaded a variety of publicly available and open source credential harvesting tools, such as Mimikatz, PowerSploit framework, and PSC XCC to the program directory. The actors named most of the tools with a single letter file name before deploying them to the other systems on the network. For those watching on YouTube Live, you can obviously see some of the warning that the FBI issued. For those listening on their favorite podcast listening platform, you can go to our Twitter page, Facebook, or LinkedIn, or to our website at cyberhubengage.com to see these images. The SharePoint server was used as a pivot point on the network, allowing unauthorized access via compromised local administrator credentials. At least 5 machines on the municipality's network contain evidence of similarly named executable stage in the program data directory. Over 50 hosts on the network showed evidence of Mimikatz execution. There's also evidence that the actor used a curb roasting technique to target Kerberos service tickets. The actors were able to successfully gain access to several domain administrator accounts. The intrusion appears to have been detected while the actors were still in the reconnaissance phase of their intrusion, so their actual objectives on target could not have been determined. In a second incident, which happened in October of 2019, a second U.S. municipality network was targeted by an unauthorized user. Intrusion activity was detected when command and control communications were discovered from the DMZ network segment. The website was missing patches, leading to the compromise. The cyber actors utilized existing network monitoring infrastructure as well as third-party services to move laterally within the DMZ. The activity was detected when the malicious actors gained access to the 2 other hosts in the DMZ segment, a SQL server and a Microsoft Exchange server, acting as an SMPT forwarder. These servers are part of the AD domain, and activities indicative of the AD service targeting were detected. The attacks on the municipalities are not isolated cases, nor are they the first attacks where CVE 2019-0604 SharePoint vulnerability had been used. Throughout of last year, this particular SharePoint vulnerability was one of the most exploited security flaws by both financially motivated cybercriminals and also nation-state sponsored cyber espionage groups. The first attacks detected in the wild were discovered by the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity in late April, when the agency sent out a security alert on the matter. The Saudi National Cybersecurity Center confirmed a similar wave of attacks a week later. That was in early May. Both cybersecurity agencies reported seeing attackers take over SharePoint servers to plan a version of the China Chopper web shell, a type of malware installed on servers that allows hackers to control hacked SharePoint servers. Neither agency named the perpetrators of the attacks, but U.S. cybersecurity firm Palo Alto Networks linked the 2 reported attacks to APT27, Emissary Panda, a hacking group with ties to the Chinese government. It's unclear if the same Chinese hacking group was also behind the attacks on 2 U.S. municipalities. In the security alert it sent out last week, the FBI reported seeing spikes in scanning activity targeting the CVE-0604 SharePoint vulnerability in May and June and October of 2019, which only confirms from sources about an increase in the number of SharePoint attacks as the year progressed. Prior to last week's FBI security alert, there was no any other similar security notifications sent out by other major cybersecurity agencies such as CISA or the UK NCSC. In hindsight, the attacks are expected to continue as there are still a large number of unpatched SharePoint servers online, despite the patch being nearly 1 year out next month. One of the reasons so many servers remain unpatched is because Microsoft fumbled the patching process. It took the company 3 patches to completely fix the issue, with fixes delivered in February, March, and April. Some companies might have installed the February patch thinking they are safe, but not knowing there was a more complete patch made available in April. The sense of urgency in addressing this should be understood to all practitioners. This bug is a so-called pre-auth RCE, remote code execution bug, and these are very attractive to attackers as they're easy to automate the exploit. So make sure if you're using SharePoint, as it is a very popular Microsoft product, that you are patching it. Before we continue, we'd like to remind you all that in just a few short weeks, we will be in beautiful, amazing barbecue capital, Dallas, Texas. And I'm sure I've insulted a bunch of other capitals that call themselves the barbecue capitals, but we'll be in Dallas with a live podcast on February 4th with show favorites Mark Hopt and Patrick Benoit, CISOs of DataBank and the BISO at CBRE. So make sure you go to our website, CyberHub Engage right now, pre-register, and be there. Spaces are limited and we do expect to sell out, so pre-register now for the event. A free decryption tool for a form of ransomware which has been plaguing victims since 2017 has just been updated with additional capabilities to make it more effective at returning encrypted files without the need to give in to the demands of cybercriminal. Paradise ransomware typically arrives in a malicious document attached to a phishing email which if executed will encrypt the victim's files. Crooks then demand a ransom paid in Bitcoin. Extensions of the files locked with Paradise typically include .paradise, .2keysys19er, and .performance spelled with a 3, a 0, and a 4, and .fc. And the ransomware can also encrypt backups in a move designed to ensure that the victim gives in and pays the ransom. Security researchers at Microsoft first released a free decryption tool for Paradise ransomware in November of last year, and now they've updated it with additional capabilities to even make it more effective. Now the Paradise ransomware decryption tool can decrypt files locked with .stub, .corp, and VACV2 extensions. The decryption tool can be downloaded directly from Microsoft, which as of January 2020 has been downloaded over 11,000 times. The Paradise Decryptor tool is also downloadable via Europol No More Ransom portal. Paradise is sold to prospective criminals as a ransomware as a service, providing those distributing it with their own campaigns with a simple means of deploying attacks and collecting ransoms, with the original authors taking a cut of any ransom which is paid. Researchers at Bitdefender, which have also released a free decryptor for Paradise, note that when executed on a Windows machine, the ransomware will check whether the keyboard language is set to Russian, Kazakh, Belarus, or Ukrainian, and if this is the case, the ransomware won't encrypt files and exits the system. Something likely to point out that this specific ransomware is coming from that area of Eastern Europe. And to our final story of the day today, let's talk a little bit about tax season. Most people are getting their W-2s in the mail now, and cyber criminals know that. So they're eager to get a jump start on tax season, and they've already launched a phishing campaign targeting ADP users, telling them that their W-2 forms are ready and prompting them to click a malicious link. The link embedded in the fraudulent email redirect, which you guys can see here on our screen now if you're watching on YouTube, or you can see it on our Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, or website at CyberHub Engage. These domains were to look like an ADP login page. The domains were registered the same day as the attack. This, according to AppRiver researchers who discovered the campaign. From there, attackers can steal the ADP usernames and passwords of unsuspecting victims who fall into the trap. With an employee's ADP credentials in hand, an attacker can commit any number of malicious activities. They could possibly expose bank account numbers or change their direct deposit information and redirect payments to attacker-controlled accounts. A potentially lucrative tactic if the employer doesn't require two-factor authentication for this type of important change. An attacker could also access a range of personal data, including name, birth date, physical address, pay stub, social security number, all the information they need to commit identity theft. They could also locate an employee's tax document, which could be used to file a fraudulent tax return on the worker's behalf and redirect the funds to an attacker's account. We are in January. This is that time of year where tax fraud is at its highest. It's when people are trying to take advantage of the federal tax system. It's reported that the IRS loses hundreds of millions of dollars every year during tax season and fraudulent tax returns. So mind your P's, mind your Q's. Share this update with everyone. If your company uses ADP as a payroll, you will typically always get it in the mail. W-2s are typically mailed directly to your home address, and they don't really come through an inbox, at least as far as I know. That could have changed in larger corporations. But as far as everyone else that I know and speak with, they get their W-2s in the mail. So wait till you get yours in the mail. Might take a few more days, but at least that way you'll still stay cyber safe. Before we wrap up today's daily cyber briefing, it is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and I'm an implant here in Atlanta. Micah is from Georgia, so he's a bit more in tuned into what MLK Jr. Day really means to the city of Atlanta and to its community. One of my favorite Martin Luther King quotes is, if you can't fly, then run, and if you can't run, then walk, and if you can't walk, then crawl, but by all means keep moving. And in cybersecurity, we don't always have the funds, we don't always have the tools, we don't always have the right teams, but what's vital for all of us who are cybersecurity practitioners, vendors, or anyone who's trying to better our security posture is to just keep moving forward. Yes, we are in a game where they get better as we get better, and they get a leg up on us almost every time. But we are also in a place where we can't stop and just put our hands in the air and quit. We also can't use excuses. This community is derived of people who want to help each other. You don't go into cyber predominantly for the money. In fact, most of the people I speak with aren't in it for the money. They're in it because of the mission and what it means to them. So don't be afraid to pick up the phone or shoot an email to any one person within your network or someone who you even don't know. This community of cybersecurity practitioners is absolutely amazing at supporting one another. And on this day, we should take this quote by Dr. King and let it carry us forward into this year, where I'm sure our cybersecurity challenges will increase, but also we as a community can come together to help solve these issues and help one another have a more secure cybersecurity program and a more robust program. And if we all come together, we may get a leg up on the bad guys who are out there to cause damage and wreak havoc to our organizations, our personal lives, and our loved ones. That's it for your daily cyber briefing today. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for tuning in. We are on YouTube Live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. You can tune in there. In a short few weeks, we'll start a Q&A segment as we do this, so you're able to interact with us. You can send us story tips, stuff you want to hear about, all at cyberhubengage.com. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your Dr. Martin Luther King Day if you are off work today, and we'll be back with more tomorrow. Until then, stay cyber safe.